And welcome to the Howard Eskin Show. Another one as we start the ball rolling. Uh, another sensational guest tonight, and we gotta clean up what has been another disappointing Philly season, and to do that, Larry Bowa, I mean, knows baseball as well as anybody that you can talk to. But before I do any of that, I want to thank our presenting sponsor, and that would be Stillwell Financial Advisors. In a changing world, and it is a changing world of money and finances. Jeff Stillwell is on top of it all. Really, really sharp guy. Uh, I mean, just talking to him, there's so many things that really I didn't know that. I didn't know that, but he knows all that stuff. That's what he does. And he's a regular guy too. Give him a call, 732-343-0813. All right. There's a lot to talk about tonight. Obviously, we're going to talk to Larry Bowa very, very shortly. A lot to talk about. We're going to talk about Bowa, about and I won't ask Larry Bowa an asinine. Is that three syllables? I think it is. Asinine comment out of WIP radio about Bryce Harper being traded. There's so many things wrong with that comment. It's just, clueless just topples clueless. But we'll get into all that after we talk to Larry Bowa. There's obviously there's a lot of things to talk about with the Eagles, and a comment that I made uh, on another podcast, and I'll clarify it, but I meant what I said about Jalen Hurts and the quarterback situation and all those things. There really is. Uh, there really is a lot to talk about there. I'll do that. And a Sixers note, which is kind of an interesting, really is a very interesting note. But I'll make it quickly after we're done with Larry Bowa, because does anybody really give a damn about the Sixers? And the Sixers, Joel Embiid's out there on the practice floor. Well, we don't know if he's going to play on Friday night. Obviously, they can't sell tickets for a preseason game on Friday night, so they're just trying to con people into buying tickets. I wouldn't give you $1 for a ticket to the Sixers game right now. Not $1, but we'll get into that later. But first, I want to tell you the winner last week of the pair of Oakley sunglasses. The winner last week, Joseph DeBundo. And the question was, Mark Lawrence talked about the top two overrated teams he thought existed in the NFL. And the answer was Pittsburgh and the Rams. And there were many people with the correct answer, but we select that person at random. And Joseph DeBundo had the correct answer. And you win a pair of Oakley sunglasses. I got a kind of a different, not different. Well, it's something I haven't given away before as the gift tonight. The gift tonight, or the prize tonight. It is a gift. There it is right there. That is a Hall of Fame postcard with the plaque of Mike Schmidt from the Hall of Fame. That is Mike Schmidt's autograph on that. I will have a question later in the show. And if you answer it correctly, or you think you know the answer, go to my page, Howard Eskin, go to my website, howardeskin.com. Do it by midnight on Friday, October 17th. That's this Friday. The show on Saturday, I'll announce the winner, October 18th at 8 a.m. You can watch the show live on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, Facebook, Instagram. YouTube notifies you as soon as the show goes on. And to do that, you have to subscribe to YouTube. It doesn't cost you anything. Just subscribe, and you're notified when the show comes on live. And then obviously on all those platforms, you can watch the show. And the winner will be randomly chosen from all correct entries. Again, there's a lot to talk about after we talk to Larry Bowa. But before we do that, I want to talk about some other important partners of this show. and that would be first up, Audi Westchester. I mean, this deal, I started looking at interest rates right now on automobiles and getting 3.99% financing up to 72 months is almost unheard of. This is a great deal. Last month, people took advantage of the deal they had. This month, this is another deal, 3.99% financing up to 72 months on the following new Audis. The new A5, that's it's a new model, A5, the Q5, the SQ5, all new models, Q5 Sportback, SQ5 Sportback, and the Q6 e-tron rear wheel drive. Audi Westchester, 1421 Wilmington Pike. It's a great new facility, fun people. You'll have fun, grab a cup of coffee, look at some new cars, grab some snacks. Don't wait. This special offer is not going to last long. 3.99% financing up to 72 months on the following new Audis. The brand new A5, Q5, SQ5, Q5 Sportback, SQ5 Sportback, and the Q6 e-tron rear wheel drive. Check them all out at AudiWestchester.com. And you want to spruce up your property when you have company come over. Piazza Property Pros can do that for you, whether it's a fire pit, whether it's a hot tub, whatever it may be, whether it's a pool. Obviously, if you want a pool, they can do that too. Pool maintenance, fencing, landscaping. And the great thing is there's 25 years of experience. They specialize in all these things to help make your property look great. They don't subcontract, unmatched customer service. These are the people. Trust Piazza Property Pros for all those things: fencing, landscaping, pool maintenance, hardscaping, excavation, whatever it is. Give them a call, 610 566 2608. Schedule a free consultation. It's free. Not everybody is free when they come out for a consultation. That's 610 566 2608, or check them out at piazzaoutdoor.com. Joining us now is a genius when it comes to when it comes to baseball, a pure genius, because he understands the game. He knows how the game should be played, how the game was played, and we're going to talk about that. But obviously, Larry Bowa we're going to kind of go over another disappointing year for the Phillies. But when you went, and thanks for jumping on.
Okay.
When you went in to this postseason, did you have confidence that things, and I'll say, would change with the team not just being a home run hitting, just depending on the home runs, I should say? Did you hope that would change?
Yeah, I did hope. And one of the reasons I hoped it would change is because our starting pitching all year excelled. And when you have starting pitching like we did, not only pitch good, but pitch deep, you really don't need a lot of home runs to win. You can win a ball game 3-2. You can win a ball game 2-1. There's a lot of times during the season you like the 3-run homers and you win a game 9-8 or 10-8. But in the playoffs, as and I'm sure you've watched, these been for the most part low scoring games. And with our pitching, like I said, all year, it was amazing what they did. And to come up short, I'm very disappointed. I'm sure the players are disappointed. I'm sure Dave Dombrowski is disappointed. The fans are disappointed. This is like 3 years now. I'm not counting the game, the World Series with Houston. We got to the World Series, we got beat by Houston. It was one of those series where they were at the end they were a better team. But these last three, they're leaving a sour taste in my mouth because I really believe, Howard, in my mind, not because I'm working with the Phillies. I think those teams should have advanced, all three of them, and we didn't. And it's very disappointing.
Okay, when you look at the lineup, and I've been a critic of the lineup, the way it's structured, the lack of contact hitters in that lineup. It just doesn't seem, balance is probably not the right word, but you got your home run guys really at the top. And what home run guys you have? You have Turner, Schwarber's really the only home run guy, really, when you break it down in today's game. Hitting 20 some home runs is not a big deal anymore. When you got your home run guys at the top, and then you don't have contact hitters, I I don't like the structure of the lineup. Do you like the lineup the way it's structured? And I like Rob Thompson. It's not he has to, he doesn't have to, but he does. He follows all that analytic bullshit. But do you like the way the lineup is structured?
I would say that looking back, starting 3 years ago, I'd say, yeah, I like the way it was structured because we scored runs. But after coming up short 3 years in a row, maybe there has to be some tweaks in that lineup. Maybe we have to change some guys in the batting order. Maybe we have to make some trades. I mean, that's what Dave Dombrowski and John Middleton, that's their job for this coming winter. This is just me talking. I think it's going to be hard to bring back everything the same. I think there's got to be some tweaks somewhere. The pitching to me is still our strength. Uh, would I like to have Ranger back? Yeah, but I'm sure he's going to. His asking price is going to be off the chart. His agent is Boris, but hopefully we get a healthy. And after a year, maybe year and a half, Painter is back. I like, and we're going to keep our fingers crossed with Wheeler. That's a big question mark. Those guys with that operation, it takes time to get back to where they were before. So I'm still happy with our pitching, but I think the lineup, just listening to comments and everything, I think there's going to be some tweaks to that.
Okay, when you say something's got to change for the lineup to get better, but you're locked into so many contracts, and what ability do you have to make trades for players? And if you're locked into contracts, then money becomes an issue. How do they change? How do they add or subtract players based looking at the contracts?
Well, I think that we know how Dave likes to formulate a roster, and you hit it right on the head. We have some guys with long term contracts that I don't think we should trade, and I don't think they're going to trade. I don't think they're going to trade Harp. I don't think they're going to trade Turner. I don't think Wheeler's getting the guys that might be involved in that are guys that I really like. I mean, do you want to move Stott? Do you want to move Bohm? I don't know. Are we going to sign JT, who to me is one of the best catchers still in baseball? Do you want to give him 3, 4 years? Do we definitely need to sign Schwarber, but that's up to the front office. How much money at his age? How many years at his age? He's definitely the leader of that team. He's the big time leader in the clubhouse. Uh, the only guy that's got more home runs than him the last 3 years has been Judge. So he's a prolific home run hitter. But you're I don't want to call him fringe player because I think Stott's a real good player. I think Marsh is a good player. These guys, but those are the guys that are probably tradable. And again, are you going to get back something that's going to be better or equivalent to what we're trading? Uh, I don't know. It's a tough call to make right now because of the three free agents right now. They're big time free agents in JT and Schwarb and Ranger.
Well, I think only one of them probably I'll say should be back, and that's Schwarber because of not only because he gives you something in that lineup to produce his runs, but also he is the leader in the clubhouse. There's
Right.
no question he's the
Right.
leader in the clubhouse. But the other, JT, how much money can you spend? You can't give him what's he made 23 million this year, so he's probably not going to take much less with
Right.
the way the money's going up. So, and then you got multiple years there. I think Schwarber's more important than JT because you like Marshawn, right? Do you like Marshawn as a
I love
catcher?
Marshawn. I think Marshawn, if given the opportunity, he's not going to catch as long as JT's here. He's going to be our backup. Now, if you don't sign JT, then I could see Marshawn sliding in there. He's really improved he's not a home run hitter. He puts the ball in play. He's really improved as a hitter. I think he could hit 250 to 260. Tremendous catcher, tremendous arm. But would it be nice to have JT and Marshawn? I think it would be great. But like you said, is JT willing to take a friendly discount? I don't know. I don't know that. I know that catching is very rare right now for good catchers. I'm sure that market's going to be strong for him. Now, how strong or how high are we going to, are we, when I say we, how high are we willing to go? How many years are we willing to go?
Yep.
JT is an unbelievable athlete. He's caught a lot of innings. And I've seen catchers that do that. And to me, I still think he has 2, 3 years left of good playing. But that again, that's up to people that are higher up than me in that front office, and they're going to have to make a tough decision. You think Schwarber might be the only one signed? You might be right. I would like to see us sign two of those three, but
Well, you look.
that's probably pushing the envelope there. I don't know.
Well, look at the people already under contract. You got Harper, you
Right.
got Turner. Nola's got 5 more years,
You got
right?
Casty another year.
Yeah,
You got Walker another year.
yeah.
So you got some
It's only a
expiring
year. You might be
contracts.
able to move it down, but you still. And then you have Wheeler's got 1 more year, whether he plays or not.
Right.
He's still got 1 more year at like
Right.
$40 million.
Right.
So it's just it's hard to fit all these people in that you want to fit in. You got to depend on your minor league. So Crawford will be up. But let me, before I get to Crawford, Castellanos, I just can't see how he can be back next
My
year.
dog.
That's all right. That's all right. The dog can join in too because the dog probably agrees with me. Um, Castellanos, how can Castellanos be back basically with the differences and it's not going to get better? He's still going to be replaced for defense one way or the other. And he got upset about that. He had some issues with Rob Thompson, and the Phillies haven't officially announced it, but Rob's going to come back, and I'm totally fine with that. But how can Castellanos come back? And Crawford will probably be the guy to put in the outfield. Would you agree with that?
Crawford definitely has earned a spot on this team next year. I don't know how many more years he's going to go to the minor leagues and keep hitting over 300. Um, in my opinion, Crawford's going to be on one of those outfielders. Probably, I think he's a very good left fielder. He can play center. Um, but in answer to your question about Castellanos, if he comes back, and that's an if, him and Rob have got to mend the fences, whatever is going on there. And that's going to be something that to keep an eye on this winter because I know one thing about Casty that I will say, he wants to play every day. His work ethic is off the charts. He never cheats anybody as far as playing hard.
Yep.
But sometimes if he's benched or taken out, he'll say things that, and I'm not saying, I said my things a lot of times when I played that you look back on, you say, oh man, I wish I didn't say it, or I wish I'd have said it on a one-to-one basis. And I think the communication there, if it's more one-on-one as opposed to screaming at each other like they did, I guess, in Miami, and I don't think Rob did, but I guess Cassidy did. And that's the reason he got benched the next day because it happened in front of the whole team. But I do think if he's back, there's got to be some fences that are mended. There's no question about that.
Okay.
And if
So
he's not back, uh, you know, teams aren't stupid. They see that there's a rift there between Casty and the manager or the front office. They're going to try to get this guy and make you pay down on that salary. Because
yep.
if you look at his numbers, Howard, I know you're big on numbers and everything. Check the back of his bubblegum card every year. It's 20 to 30 homers, 70 to 90 RBIs, 275. Yeah, I know he has his peaks and valleys, but at the end of the year, the numbers are always there, and you're going to get some teams going to say, "Wow, the Phillies want to move this guy. I don't want to pick up that salary. I think they're going to have to pay some of that." So you're going to see some teams trying to steal him. Once they see there's a rift there between whether it's the front office or the manager, teams are going to try to come in and make a play on him and try to get him cheap. You're not going to get dollar for dollar.
Okay. So we brought up the fact that he and Rob had challenges, but what is the difference in today's managers from when you were a manager that you got to kind of coddle to, you got to kind of coddle players a little bit more than you really need to. The manager's the boss, or should
Right.
be. I don't know if he's the boss anymore. Uh,
I don't know how many managers are bosses now.
right.
I mean, I know he runs the team, but there's so many outside things that come into play. The analytics bring their stuff down. You got to worry about the pitchers and innings pitched and pitches. And back in the day, you watched a pitcher, and I could tell when a guy's losing his stuff. The hitters would let me know, hey, this guy's losing his fastball. Or I'll go out to the mound and talk to a guy and look into his eyes and say, how do you feel? And he gives me, I'm okay, but I see a little bit of in his eyes that he's not okay. So sometimes you use your gut, and there's not a lot of managers now that are using their gut. It's they're going basically on all the analytic stuff. And hey, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of good stuff in analytics, but I'm a firm believer that especially the hitting part of it, it's hard to hit a baseball. And when you're playing in the big leagues, it's very difficult to be successful swinging the bat. And when you got all these things going through your mind about this guy throws, when it counts 2-0, at 95%, you're getting a breaking ball. So people at home, they watch us and they take a fastball down the middle and they're going, how do you take that pitch without swinging? Well, because the analytic people tell you 2-0, 95% of the time, this is going to be a breaking ball. So you sit on a breaking ball. To me, the more you put in somebody's head when you hit in the big leagues, it's very difficult to be successful doing that.
The way that lineup's structured, I don't understand, and I don't know what it is about analytics. Your best home run hitter is hitting number two. Now, and you don't really, the Phillies don't really, right now, they have guys that'll hit in the 20s, but how can you have your best home run hitter number two and hope that that's the right way to structure your lineup? I don't get it.
Well, it seems like baseball's a copycat league, and you see a lot of their best hitters hitting too. Now, if you got something down at 8 and 9, and you have obviously like Trey's our leadoff hitter, you get some action down 8, 9, and 1. I'm all in on him hitting second. A lot of people are saying maybe Crawford comes up and hits 9, which could be a possibility. I'm on the other end of that, saying maybe Crawford leads off, Trey second. Now you have Schwarb. You got speed at the top, and you would have speed at the top even if Crawford hit 9 and Turner hit 1, or the other way around. Crawford 1, Turner 2. When you people don't understand when you have speed like that, batting behind each other like that, when they get on base, it affects the pitcher. Slide stepping, throwing over. Infielders cheat because there's got so much speed
Mm-hmm.
out there. It opens up holes between, if it's a left hand hitter between first and second, you got a big hole. If it's a right hand hitter, the shortstop comes in, cheats towards the bag, you got a hole between third and short. It creates so many problems. You hit a base hit to left field, you got those two guys on it. Oh, I got to get this ball in because if I bobble it, they're going to third base. There's so many things that happen. And speed, one thing about speed, it never goes into a slump, ever. When you have speed, you can create a lot of problems on the base pass. And I think with the addition of a guy like Crawford, and of course Trey, I think had a really good year this year, you're creating some issues there for the defense and the pitcher that's pitching against you that you can manufacture some runs without hitting a 3-run homer every night.
You know what? 3 and 4 used to be the power spots in the
Right.
lineup, but
That's how it
that
was when we played.
yeah, but that's not necessarily the case
Oh, I
anymore.
know.
And the lineup you kind of threw out there doesn't have Harper at three. I don't know that Harper would be okay with not hitting three. Uh,
Well, if you wanted to, you could switch that up and have Harper hit 4. I mean, that's going to be up to the manager who we sign, who we don't sign. Uh, I agree with you to the point where it'd be nice to see Schwarb hit with more men on base.
right,
Although
right.
this year hitting second, I think he was more productive hitting second than he was first as far as the
Oh,
home runs and
absolutely.
runs scored and walks and all that. But it's a flip a coin. I really believe this, though. I believe Harper's going to have a monster year this year. I just feel that this year, with a couple nagging injuries and things like that, I think in his mind, he knows there's a lot left there, and I expect him to have I do have expect him to have a monster year this year.
Well, he better have a lot more. He's got 6 years left with a contract. So
Right.
I don't know if the end of that's going to be good enough. Analytics drives me crazy. And as a baseball guy, and that's what you are, and I think Rob Thompson is, but it's everything, these computer printouts, and I know these guys come down, and I guess they talk to them during the week before games, and all these analytic guys. It's just who never took a pitch, but that doesn't mean anything. You don't have to play the game, but you
Right.
have to understand it
What
more than just looking at a computer screen. Uh,
what I don't understand about that part of it, they have pockets. They call them pockets. When this pocket comes in the sixth inning, this pitcher matches up with this pocket. Okay, now say this pocket that they're pitching to, they don't hit breaking balls very good, and the pitcher you're bringing in has a good breaking ball. So what happens when that pitcher you bring in doesn't have his breaking ball that day? You can't look into a crystal ball and say that breaking ball is going to be here every time he goes on the mound, and these three guys that are coming up cannot hit breaking balls. It baseball, it changes from day to day, inning to inning, pitch to pitch. You can't tell me a guy with a good breaking ball is going to have a good breaking ball every time he comes into the ball game. It doesn't work that way. If it worked that way, just throw everything into the computer, let these guys pitch to these pockets, make out the lineup. It's not that easy. I mean, I'm watching this game, the Dodger series, and I loved it. What I saw, I loved the 8 innings. I loved the complete game. And then I look at another side of the coin when I see elimination games and you have bullpen games starting. An
that's amazing.
elimination game, you have bullpens starting the game, which I think is totally ridiculous.
I think it's an embarrassment to baseball because teams carry so many pitchers. The Phillies aren't the only ones. Would they carry 11 or 12 pitchers
Right,
into the playoffs? Teams
right.
carry so many pitchers. Why do you have to have a bullpen? You have starters there. And who was it? The Seattle pitcher pitched on 1 day less rest. So
Yes.
what? If
And he
you're
did a good
good, you're
job.
good. And he did a great job.
Yep.
I don't think they won the game. They didn't win the game, obviously.
Yeah.
But
No, they won that game. They beat Toronto. He came
oh,
back early.
oh,
It was the
okay.
first game of the Toronto Seattle
Oh, okay.
series.
They
He
won that
pitched
game.
very good.
Yeah, I don't get it. Why you can't have a starter? When I see a bullpen game in the playoffs, I think it's an insult to the game of baseball. I think it's a joke. It's a disgrace, and I
Well,
don't get it. I don't get it.
Well, one of the reasons you see this, and this even it makes more sense to me to let your starters pitch. I've never seen so many days off in my life in between games.
Yeah, I
So
know.
you're telling me you're still going to have a bullpen game, and you've had 3 days off, and you can't put a starting pitcher out there? That's hard to believe. It really is hard to believe where the game is going on certain teams that, well, we're going to start a bullpen game even though we're going home if we lose this game. And the other thing that I don't think they realize, the more you use your bullpen and you play a 5 game series, or even, let's go further, a 7 game series, and those hitters get to see that bullpen every single game, it gives confidence to those hitters. They love going up there saying, oh, I faced this guy 2 days ago and I faced him yesterday and I'm going to face him tomorrow. They like that. They like to see guys that they face not just once, 3 and 4 times in a 7 game series. And
Oh,
yet we keep doing that. When I say we, the industry keeps doing that, and you run into trouble. Why
oh,
don't they do it all? If it works that good, why don't we have bullpen games every game of the season?
yeah. It is kind of a joke. The I know the game is about the fans and it's about entertainment. When Duran, and he's the best closer you have, I think he's good, but I don't think he's as good as people. It seems like every game he comes in, he always gives up a hit. He always gives up a hit, and his record for a reliever is like almost like right around 500. How does that happen? But he's the best closer that the Phillies have. There's
I
no
like him.
question.
I like him a lot.
Okay, all
I
right.
think he's got a great arm. I think he's got a multitude of pitch. He just doesn't throw a fastball at 100. He's got a split. He's got a breaking ball. Um,
How do you like
he
all the
ran into
lights?
trouble. He ran into trouble when we walked Otani, and then he walked a big run in when he walked Betts.
Right.
Other than that,
I don't
It's
know
gonna
about
it's
all the lights. The lights and the flashing and everything going off when he comes in Philadelphia. It just have a come in. I don't know how much a pitcher feels that feels good or
well,
bad. Uh,
I think those guys they like that. The only thing that I would do different, this is just me now. I know it's old school.
yeah,
I'm not going. I like when he comes in when we're ahead or tied. I don't like to see it when we're down. When we're down three to
right.
one and we go through all that to keep the score the same way it is. I mean, that's just my preference. We're losing 3 to 1. Do we need to have all that uh, before he throws a pitch? Now, if
Yeah.
it's tied or it's a save, I'm all in for it. If it psychs him up like that, I'll go for it. But when you're down 3 to 1, that's like when a guy hits a home run and scores 8 to nothing, and he crosses home plate and he gives you like he just won the World Series.
Yeah,
I'll
right.
never understand that. But again, that's the way the game is now. And if me as a person wants to stay in it, you have to accept it or deal with it, I should say. There's a lot of things that go on now that never happened when we played, and I know it's a different game now. The game's evolved differently, uh, but to me, when you're losing a game by 7, 8 runs and you do something really good, what are you celebrating? Now we're only down 7 runs. The bottom line is you're trying to win a ball game, and that home run, what's it get you within seven now? It's a meaningless home run.
Are you as big on structuring a lineup with righty lefty, or lefty righty? Do you have to break it down like that? If a player's a good player and he's hitting in the top six of your lineup, he should be a good player. He should be able to hit both left-handers and right-handers. Are you big on that?
No, because I think we showed it this year. The Phillies. I mean, Harp and
And
Schwarber hit back
Schroeder.
to back all year,
Yeah.
and left-handers didn't bother either one of them. If you're a good hitter and you're left-handed, I let them hit, let them play.
Yeah, I know.
Now, if you got a weakness there, I'm all in on the left, right, left, right, left, right. But if you got left-handed hitters that can handle left-handed pitching, I wouldn't matter if you strung three of those guys together. If they're good hitters from the left side, let them play.
All
Let them
right.
play.
The Phillies lineup. If you had to structure it, assuming the lineup's going to be close to the same, see, I know when I still saved the lineup card I gave Rob Thompson, I had Stott leading off and Turner second because Stott works a pitcher. So I'm okay with him leading off. And I think he's better than he showed this year. I think he's a better hitter than he
He
showed
is.
this year.
He is.
Okay. So, but leading off gives him, pride and, he's got to, really grind a little bit more. Stott, Turner, Harper, and I would
Schwarber.
have
Schwarber.
no, because I wouldn't have the two lefties together.
Why? They hit
I'd
left-handers.
wait a minute. I'd put Bohm at 4 because he's the best contact hitter on the.
Yeah, he is.
He's
He
the
is.
best contact hitter on the. And everybody every year they say, well, they want to trade him. I don't understand that. He's the best contact, probably the only real contact hitter you have on that team. You put Bohm and then you put Schwarber, and 5. How can you hit Schwarber 5? It's okay because you can flip it around some of the games. But if you had a lineup, how would you go the first 6? Because we don't know what the bottom of the lineups.
Wow, man, that's tough. Uh, I don't think you'd be wrong in putting Stott first. I know he didn't have the kind of year we all hoped
Right?
he'd have. He had a good second half, I think. But I would still go. This is just me now.
Okay.
I would go. I'm assuming that Crawford
Crawford's
makes our
got to
ball
be
club.
here.
I
Yeah,
would
right.
I would like Crawford to bat first and Trey Turner second, and then I'd have Harp and Schwarb. Those are the first four. Then I'd have Bohm as five, and then you could go Marsh. You could do a lot of things. You could go Stott. Uh, the thing about our lineup, Howard, a lot of those guys can hit in different spots, and I know you want Harp and Schwarb in the right in the middle. I do too, because they're
Yep.
they're the impact players. I agree with you on Bohm. If there's a man on third base out of everybody in our lineup, and they bring the infield in like they always. I like Bohm hitting because, like you said, he's a good hitter. He puts the ball in play. He doesn't strike out as much as a lot of players strike out. And then, at the bottom, I mean, you could have Stott down there. You could even if you don't want. Crawford, you could have Crawford hitting 9. JT, if he's back, he had a good second, I say month and a half. The last month and a half, he played good. There's so many ways you could go there. The thing that I would like to see, I'd like to see a consistent lineup where guys know who's sitting in front of them, who's sitting behind them. And I
Yeah.
know that doesn't exist anymore in baseball because the analytics bring down, well, this guy's 0 for 16 off this guy. Uh, I presented a question about, I don't know, 3 years ago, because we get to talk to the analytics. The analytics that work for the Phillies, they listen. And I brought up the thing, I said, we go everything on numbers. So I'm going to throw a hypothetical at you. We're in the World Series and we're playing Houston, and Harper is 0 for 18 off this pitcher that's pitching tonight. Do we sit him? I don't care if Harper's 0 for 50.
Right.
Harper's not sitting.
Right.
But the analytics say, well, you're better off putting a right-handed hitter here because Hart doesn't hit the. But when I presented that to him, he gave me a couple of looks and he went, man, that's tough because Harp's a super player. I said, well, no, 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 no. Well, if we're going to go with this rule, the numbers don't add up. Then if they don't add up, then Harp's got to be benched, right? Like, and then I told him if Harp's 0 for 50, Harp's hitting in the same spot because in one pitch he can turn a ball game around.
Right.
There's certain guys you leave alone. I don't care what they're hitting. I don't care if they're 0 for 30. They're impact players in your lineup. And the only way they're going to come out of it is to keep playing them, and they're going to get their hits. And that I like a set lineup because you know who's in front of you, who's behind you. But there's so much now, like you said, if a left-hander's pitching, well, we can't have left-handed hitters playing because this guy's tough on them. Now, I will say this: watching the game the other night, I don't know how many left-handed hitters would have hit the Dodger pitcher the other night. He was he was off the charts.
Who you're talking about? Snell.
Snell, he was.
Oof.
I mean I, the last 2 games the Dodgers pitched, I can't get on Milwaukee. Those pitchers dominated the game. They beat up the strike zone, not down the middle. They lived on the edges. They changed speeds. They went up, down. They went in, out. They just messed up the rhythm of the hitting, and it was fun to watch the old school type playoff games when you got 2 pitchers, give them 17 innings in 2 games on the road.
Okay, here's what, and I saw this number either today or yesterday. The first 3 starters for the Dodgers make $86 million. The 26 man roster of Milwaukee only makes $80 million.
You mean the franchise?
Well, yeah, but I guess your payroll is more than just the 26 players,
right?
Because you add play, but
right.
the 26 rostered players that I guess they started the season with made 80 million, and the top 3 Dodgers pitchers made 86.
There's a discrepancy there. There's no question about that.
I don't know. They got to have a salary cap. And, Scott Boras, Harper, rails against it, but that's because Scott Boras doesn't want it because Harper has no, what does he care? He's got 6 years left anyway. What's the difference? It's all about Scott Boras. You got to have some kind of cap. Yeah. But Milwaukee, to their credit, I think their whole payroll was $140 million.
Yeah, I believe that's 480. I think you're right on that. Here's my take on that, on the salary cap. First of all, I had too many strikes that I literally had to sit out. I don't want a salary cap, but I will say, let me preface this. The money that the big boys are paying, Dodgers, Phillies, Yankees, Boston, I'll throw the Cubs in there, big time markets. The issue here is the small markets are getting mad because these markets dominate.
Yes.
Okay. I agree they do dominate, but this is what I would try to implement. All the money that John Middleton, the Dodgers, the Yankees, that when they go over the tax, when they go over the budget, you have to pay a tax. It's a big tax. It's big money to give out to the smaller teams, the Pittsburghs, the Kansas Cities. Yeah, you can go right down the line here. Cincinnati, all the small market teams. So here's my thing: how to solve this. The money, the checks that these small market teams get, from the big boys, they have no,
That's
they have to
not
they
giving the
have to
dog
put
enough
that
money.
money they have to put that money on the big league field, not
Yep.
in their pocket, and not say, "Oh, we're taking care of our minor leagues."
Yeah.
That
Right.
money's got to go on the big league field. In other words, if Pittsburgh gets a check, I'm just using a number, $50 million. I'm just using that.
Right.
That 50 million's got to go on the big league field
Right.
because we're the Phillies. All the big market teams are taking care of the secondary markets. But they're a lot of these secondary markets are saying, well, we're putting it in our farm system or we're doing this. No, no, no. The checks you get from the guys that are overspending, it has to go on the big league field. I think you could solve some issues there. Now, will they be as good? Maybe not as good, but they'll be more competitive, I think.
With Pittsburgh, if they don't sign Skeens, it's an insult. They have a pitcher. It's the best pitcher probably in baseball. He's
Yeah,
probably the best pitcher in baseball.
he's close.
Well, let's say the top three. And
Yeah,
I don't know how many years. He's probably got a few years left. You got to sign him because what does it say to the franchise if you don't sign that player? You got to sign
you.
him, and
Uh,
that's a problem right now.
I agree with that. You can't let him walk.
No.
But you can. Like the one issue that they have some pretty good arms there. Their offense wasn't really what it should be.
Uh huh.
So if you're going to keep Skeens, you got to start getting some hitters around him to get some run. How many games did he pitch where they took him out in the 6 or 7? It was 1-0, or 1-1, or 0-0. You got to accommodate your team to go around a
Hmm.
superstar pitcher like that, where he's going to get some runs every time he goes out there every fifth day. If they're going to keep that same lineup and keep Skeens, then they got to get rid of him and try to get 3 or 4 players for him. You might
Yeah.
get more than that. Who knows?
You know what? The Phillies' future. We see that this. I don't think this team's built to win a World Series. So does it have to? First of all, before I get into that, I love what the Dodgers do by putting the ball in play. It's not all home runs. You got
No,
to put the ball in play. Damn it,
I
put the
agree.
ball in play. It's so, and that's not. Watching those guys
Well,
make contact. I'm
well,
so
let,
tired of hearing. Well, you know, whatever.
Well,
Just say,
let me make you made a good point there, because when we played the Dodgers, there were 2 plays that happened. One was a play that Turner made. It was a good play he made. He had to throw on the run. There was a man on third. They went on contact. He threw the ball to the first base side. If it's to the third base side, he's probably out. But he made a good play. The other is what we know, when Kirkering missed the ball. That both those
right.
hitters broke their bats. They shattered their bats. But the bottom line is they didn't take it back to the dugout with strike three. They made us make plays. We did not execute those plays. Those plays resulted in runs. Those plays enabled the Dodgers to move on just by putting the ball. It doesn't have to be 100 miles off the bat. Well, I don't even know if it was 50 miles an hour off the bat. But
Yeah.
the fact they put the ball in play. There was an article in the paper the other day about Green, who's a very good player for Detroit. His comment was, "Well, I'm not worried about my strikeouts. He had over 200." And then the GM comes on and says, "I'm worried about the strikeouts," which I admired him saying that.
Brutal.
Strikeouts are not acceptable
No,
every single time. Now,
I know.
I agree, when you hit 50 home runs, you're going to strike out. That's just the nature of the beast. Schmidt struck out, Bull struck out. They're home run hitters. Judge strikes out. He's a home run hitter. But there's so many guys that are striking out 150 to 200 times that aren't home run hitters. It's just a matter of mentally make an adjustment. 2 strikes. I'm going to put this ball in play.
Well,
No
because
matter what, I'm going to wait a little longer. I might get jammed. I might hit it off the end, but I'm going to make the opposition make a play.
you
And
get
until we get that mindset all over baseball, you're going to constantly see guys striking out 200, 230 times. Dansby Swanson, who's not really, I mean, he hits his home runs. He's well over 200 strikeouts. And this
yeah.
guy's a really good player.
Yeah, I know. It just there's you got to put the ball in play. I mean, anything can happen if you put the ball in play. It just So the Phillies really have to change something to be a World Series
You
contender,
you
right?
got to buy in. You got to buy in on that. If everyone's not bought in on it, it's not going to work.
Yep.
And I'm not asking Harper and Schwarber. I want them hitting balls out of the ballpark. There's no question about that. But the rest of our lineup, I'd like to see us all in on, okay, I got two strikes. I'm going to spread out a little bit. I'm going to make somebody catch this baseball. And I think it's a mindset. It's not they don't have the ability. They all have the ability. It's a matter of do they want to do it. But again, now we go back to why are guys getting paid? They're getting paid for hitting balls in the seats. Pitchers are getting paid to strike out hitters. And so maybe as a industry, we're creating these problems by paying guys if they hit 25 or 30 in the seats, strike out 250. What do you do the other 450 at bats? You hit your 30 home runs. What do you do the other 450?
When you put the ball in play, anything can happen. Uh,
Anything,
anything,
anything.
anything can happen, and then that's and you the two plays that you pointed up in the Dodger game, but the Dodgers fundamentally they do those things. They got players that hit home runs, and that's fine, but you got to have guys on base as well, and then things. And we talked earlier about you know runners moving around and pitchers having the slide step and
Right.
all these different things that happen because runners are on base and they do those things. But the Phillies have to change something. Otherwise, it's going to be sad every
Well,
time we get to.
you brought up a good point about the Dodger lineup right now. Otani might be having the worst playoffs ever. He's the superstar player on that team.
Yep.
He's the guy that carried the brunt of the offense all year. It goes to show you that the bottom of that lineup, the Dodger lineup, has really responded. Mookie's been okay, but Otani hasn't done anything, and they're still winning.
Yeah, he's hitting like 147.
Yeah, with a whole lot of strikeouts.
Yes, it's just, but they have other players to do
Yeah, they do,
things
and they're responding.
and move it around. And the pitching's really good. There's no question the pitching's important, but you got to score runs. I mean, the Phillies had 4 hits and 1 run in the game that they lost the series. Hey, listen, they had good pitching, but it didn't matter. You have to score. You don't win 1-0 games. That doesn't happen anymore. It's just
No,
you know,
and the other thing, you're right. It's hard to win a 1-0 game, but how many games do you see that's 10-9 in the playoffs? Not very many.
no,
You're
exactly.
facing good pitching. That's why it's imperative that you put the ball in play. When you have a man on third base and the infield's in, I don't know what they say your average, if you're a 250 hitter, it goes to 300 because the infield's in, it opens up holes. Put the ball in play. You
Yeah,
can get jams and bloop it over the infield. You can hit a chopper off home plate. You can make an infielder go to his left, make an off balance throw. There's so many ways that you can create runs without getting a hit or without
yeah,
hitting the ball in the stands.
yeah. It's
And
just
if you don't have that mindset, and it's got to be a mindset where you're committed to, I'm not striking out here. I'm going to battle. And I'm not saying you're going to go a whole year without not striking out, but for the most part, battle up there and show the pitcher, hey, I'm not striking out here. You're going to have to show me everything to get me out here. I'm going to
yeah,
put it in play.
you know.
And I know it's easier said than done. There's no pitching. The pitching in these playoff games, the Dodgers, I wouldn't want to be playing if I'm Milwaukee facing those two guys. The last two games, they were unhittable, basically.
Yeah.
They put balls where they wanted to. They kept them off balance. They changed speeds. It was a clinic that they ran against Milwaukee.
Well, it's things obviously have to change. I'm glad to see, and as we do this, the Phillies haven't announced it yet, but it's out there. Rob Thompson's back. It's not him. He kind of follows the analytics part of it. The team. It's the players got to make plays. Players got to get on base. Players got to do the things that they need to do. Now, that's not to say that they don't change some of the coaches, but something will change just to appease, like try to appease the fans. But something's got to happen in the off season. I don't know. Be interesting to see what happens with Schwarber. That's going to be something to keep an
Well,
eye on.
I know one thing. It's not just going to be a one team pony here. There's a whole lot of teams that would. I personally, I love Schwarb. I want Schwarb here. And I know Dave wants him here. I know John Middleton wants him here. I know the fans want him here. But when you play out a whole year and you've earned that right to be a free agent, you would be cheating yourself, your family, and all your friends if you don't explore what's out there. And I'm sure Schwarb loves it here. But
Yeah.
he owes it to himself and his family to go out and say, okay, What do you have to offer me?
And
I
this is
don't
his
think he's
last.
going to go to a second division team,
No, and
personally.
this is his last contract
Right,
at his age. So he's
right,
got to take whatever he can get and go to a good team. And
right.
if it's the Yankees or if it's Boston,
Boston's been
Cincinnati's going to be a good team. They're not.
they
They're
got it.
on the
They've done a
edge.
good job. Tito's
Yeah,
done a good job.
yeah,
Yep.
and he's from Cincinnati. I don't
Right.
know that that makes a difference, but whatever. We'll see what happens. Hey, Bo, it's always good to talk baseball as the way we know it, or the way we knew it, I guess is the term. It's just, if we were running the team, we'd fix all this stuff. But
I don't know if we'd fix it, but but we rely. I think you rely. I think you can do both. I think you can be old school, and I think you can put analytics into this equation. But
yeah,
when it's 80% analytics and 20% old school, or what your gut feels, or what
yeah,
your eyes see, that is a bad ratio there, 80 and 20.
yeah.
I'm like I said, I think there's a lot of good analytics, but there's a lot of analytics that mucky up your brain, man, especially hitting. Hitting's very hard in the big leagues. It is hard. People don't understand how hard it is. And when you start getting, oh, he does this when the count's 2-1. He does this when the count's 3-1. It's not etched in stone. You don't think some of these pitchers look at all the analytics too and say, man, I've been throwing breaking balls 2-0 for the last 5 starts. I better change up on this.
Well, you know,
They see the same stuff we see.
yeah,
So they're
and
going to
they
make adjustments.
and they lock themselves. Too many people lock themselves up on those numbers and don't let it come naturally. Baseball, if you got skills, just let it come naturally. I mean, it's just play the game. It's brutal. It's brutal. But we'll keep on preaching this, and maybe somebody will listen to us one day. Hey, Bo, thanks. It's always fun. I mean, a lot of fun to talk real baseball with a guy that knows the game of baseball. You couldn't be a manager today because you'd be yelling at these
No,
guys.
I know that would be way over my skis right now. I wouldn't want to, first of all. I like what I'm doing. I've been very fortunate that John and Dave have let me do my thing. And I still am very disappointed we didn't advance a little bit. But that's baseball. That's why they say that's why you play the games.
That's why you play
And
the game.
we got
That's
to. I agree with you. We have to make some kind of adjustments this winter, and because the nucleus of that team, I think, is still a good baseball team, but obviously there's something missing that we're coming up short every year.
Yeah. All right. Hey, Bo, it's always, I'm telling you, I always have a lot of fun, whether
All right,
it's
Howard.
here or anywhere else. It's good to talk to somebody that understands what the hell's going on. All right. Thanks, Bo.
All right, take care.
All right.
All
You
right,
too.
bye
Larry
bye.
Boa is always, 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 always fun to talk to. And I also want to tell you that this fine program is presented by, and I've told you this earlier, Jeff Stillwell, because if you have any wealth, Jeff can help you with that wealth. In the changing world that we live in now with financial stuff, Jeff Stillwell knows his stuff, really does. And here's a number. You talk to him and find out, the things that maybe you have questions about. He can answer it. And who knows what could happen. 732-343-0813. That's 732-343-0813. Also, there's a great deal, great deal going on right now at Audi Westchester. When I started checking and seeing what the interest rates on financing on automobiles are now, 3.99% is mind-boggling. It's not even close to what's out there when you purchase an automobile, and that's 3.99% financing for up to 72 months. If you don't take advantage of this, you are missing something. On the new Audis, the new redesigned A5, Q5, SQ5, Q5 Sportback, SQ5 Sportback, and the Q6 e-tron rear wheel drive. Stop by Audi Westchester for more details. Their all new facility is fun. You go in there, grab a cup of coffee, grab some snacks, and it's fun looking at automobiles. 1421 Wilmington Pike. Don't wait. This special offer is special. 3.99% financing up to 72 months on the new Audis, new redesigned A5, Q5, SQ5, Q5 Sportback, SQ5 Sportback, and the Q6 e-tron rear wheel drive. Check it all out, AudiWestchester.com. And if you want to make it fun when company comes over, Piazza Property Pros can do a lot of good things for your property, whether it's building a pool, whether it's doing things in the backyard, whether it's a hot tub, whether it's a fire pit, whether it's landscaping, whether it's fencing, what pool maintenance. They do it all. 25 years of experience. That tells you really what you need to know. And they'll help you turn your property into something that you enjoy and you're going to enjoy for years. I mean, don't don't procrastinate. Piazza Property Pros. They don't subcontract. It's their people. Give them a call, 610-566-2608. You can schedule a free consultation. Not everybody does a free consultation. 610-566-2608 or visit piazzaoutdoor.com. It's so many things to touch on when Larry Bowa speaks because he knows what the hell he's talking about. It's just he knows what the hell he's talking about. Uh, and I guess in the next day or so, the Phillies will announce that Rob Thompson's coming back, but they're trying to. I think what they're trying to do to wait for that is figure out what coaches are coming back and what coaches aren't. And I think the Phillies will try to appease the fans by letting some of the coaches go, but some of the coaches may want to go. Whatever. We'll see what happens. I love Bo's term, "mucky up." He used the word. I got to start using that, "mucky up." Uh, and the dog doesn't like his dog doesn't like analytics either. I don't know who they can trade. The idiocy, the asinine comment out of Sports Talk Radio, out of I think it was WIP, saying they could trade Harper. They're not trading Harper, and it's hard to trade Harper. What a stupid, asinine comment. Obviously, whoever made that comment doesn't know the first thing about the structure of a team, doesn't know anything about baseball. But I don't know what they're going to do in terms of trades. Uh, Obviously, they'll try to trade Taiwan Walker and have to give up a lot of money. They'll try to trade Castellanos and give up a lot of money. But uh, they're kind of boxed in with their contracts. And I saw a story out there, and this is what happens in the offseason of baseball. It's not the offseason yet because you still have playoffs going on. But there was a story out there. Hey, the Phillies like Kyle Turner, who's now with the Cubs, and he's a free agent. But somebody put out there he's going to get 300 million. What do you mean 300 million for a DH? I know he's only 28 years old. That's not happening. That's another stupid comment. I'll come up. I've got a question that I'm going to ask you for this week's prize. But before we get into that, I got to touch on the Eagles. All right, they have a tough game on Sunday, and I guess Carson Wentz is going to play quarterback for Minnesota because JJ McCarthy's still not ready to come back from his injury. Let me see what the Eagles line is. Eagles are 1.5. Yeah, Minnesota's got a good defense. Here's the issue, and I mentioned it the other day on a podcast, and people don't understand. And this, let me clarify, and I stand by what I said, but I'm going to clarify. I said that right now, Jalen Hurts is not the best quarterback on the Eagles. I said that right now. Lane Johnson made a comment that, and Lane Johnson's pretty honest, made a comment that the Eagles are predictable. Well, they're predictable because the quarterback seems limited in the things he can do. Tanner McKee is a sharp. He's not as athletic, but he's pretty damn good. He's got a great arm. He makes really good reads. He goes through his progressions. He'll find open receivers. And we've seen Brian Baldinger breaks down a lot of tape each week. And we've seen on the tape there's open receivers. When Jalen Hurts threw the interception, A.J. Brown was open in the end zone. Now, you're not going to find all the open receivers, but I'm telling you, and somebody implied, well, I said he should be benched. And I see somebody with a comment here saying Hurts isn't the best quarterback on the team is crazy. Well, that's because you're so in love. You got to look at what's happening here. Their offense has to be better, and it's not the offensive coordinator. They're 30th in the damn league. Other teams want Jalen Hurts to pass. That's why they stack the defensive line, then don't allow the Eagles to run the football. Hey, listen, I'm not going to be, uh, critical of Jalen Hurts just because he's Jalen Hurts, but he's got to be better. And right now, he's not good enough. He's not good enough if the Eagles hope to go deep in the playoffs and go back to the Super Bowl. I don't think they're a Super Bowl team right now, but there's some teams in the NFL that are leaking oil too. But I just said right now, Tanner McKee is people don't realize how how well he can run an offense. I've seen him at camp. I've seen what he can do. Uh, there's more creativity with Tanner McKee because he can do more things. And players are complaining about it. It's not just AJ. Lane Johnson doesn't go out there like AJ did, but which he shouldn't. He just said we're too predictable. That's because they're limited because Jalen Hurts doesn't make all the reads he needs to make. And to saying Hurts isn't the best quarterback on the team is crazy. Well, then and call me crazy. Call me crazy. Right now, they can't change. They won't change. They shouldn't change. He has got to get better if the Eagles are going to have really any kind of real success. He's got to get better. It's just they're not running the ball well because the other teams are defending against that. Don't you? I mean, you can see they're going to play in the next 2 weeks. They're going to play Minnesota, good defensive team. They're going to play the Giants, and then they have a bye. Good defensive team. You're going to have to do more. It's just you're going to have to do more. And if they don't do more, this ain't going to work out for the Eagles. And I'm so sick and tired of you nitwits, you morons, blaming the offensive coordinator. It's just there's a lot of things that Jalen Hurts can't do as well as Tanner McKee. Now, Tanner McKee obviously doesn't have the physical skills, although he does have a stronger arm. Jalen Hurts runs a lot of plays out of the shotgun or the pistol, whatever you want to call it. Pistol, shotgun. And the reason he does that is because he can't really survey the defense well enough when he's under center. Now, what that does, the play action is not as effective. And I know coaches and Kellen Moore last year wanted to run more plays under center because he wanted to run more play action. Now they won a Super Bowl. So that's great. And everything fell into place because they could run the football. But right now, to be better at play action, you've got to be better. Not saying it's the end all be all. You got to be under center. Tanner McKee is like 6'5", 6'6", so he can survey the defense better. I'm not going to say the detriment is just the height of Jalen Hurts, but he's got to be better at being able to survey the field and do things better. It's just he's got to be. And the defense has got to get better too. It just I love it. Jason Hurts has proven he can win a championship. Saquon Barkley, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, the offensive line, Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata. They proved they can win a championship. I Last year the quarterback always gets the MVP in the Super Bowl, and most of the times he's the most important player. But I'm telling you, Zach Bond was lights out last year in that Super Bowl. Zach Bond, but they're never going to give it to a linebacker. They're never going to give it, rarely going to give it to a defensive player. Very rare that defensive players have won the MVP. Without that defense, and then things kind of stepped up and they gave the Eagles good field position, whatever. I'm not going to go back to the Super Bowl. I'm going to look at it right now. They've got to get better at that position. And if they don't, they're going to have challenges. And they're going to lose probably another game that they shouldn't lose. Every team loses games they shouldn't lose, so that's not a big deal. But we'll see what happens. It's the players aren't happy with. I mean, can you imagine the last three games? I think it's the last three games they haven't scored a point in the second half of the football game. You got to be kidding me. I mean, you got to be kidding me. But that's got to change. All right, one Sixers note. I want to give you the question, and then I'm going to give you a Sixers note. Larry Bowa, and I asked him what his lineup would be if he were setting the lineup. And he actually added a player that currently is not on the team. Just give me the top. I'm going to make it tough for you. Give me the top five. And the top five of the lineup that Larry Bowa, just kind of thinking out loud, would make the lineup, and you will win a autographed Hall of Fame postcard signed by, that's Mike Schmidt's autograph on there. You answer the question, go through my contact page at howardeskin.com. Put your answer in by midnight Friday, October 17th. That's this Friday. And then the show on Saturday, October 18th at 8 a.m. to see if you've won. We will be live on X, Twitter. I still call it Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And we're on Spotify and Amazon and Amazon Music and Apple. But the video audio portion are on the first four. If you subscribe to YouTube, you'll be notified as soon as I go on live and do the show. And it's easy to find the shows on almost all those social media platforms. So that's the question. What was Larry Bowa's, just thinking out loud, top five if he set the lineup for next year, and submit your answer. And with multiple people having the correct answer, I'm assuming we select somebody at random. All right, one Sixers note. Like, who gives a damn about the Sixers, right? They're in, preseason and camp, and and Nick Nurse is so evasive. Is Joel Embiid going to play on Friday? You know now whether he's going to play on Friday. It's an exhibition game. I'll call it exhibition. It's not preseason. It's garbage. But they announced 16,000 at their last preseason game. There wasn't half that many people there. It was a joke. But they're trying to sell tickets. They're trying to sell tickets. And was he going to play? Why would he play? It's a preseason. Why would he play? But that's not my point. My point is, there was odds, and there's always odds out there on what coaches are going to be hired, what coaches are going to be fired. Do you know Nick Nurse in one of these sports books is the odds-on favorite to be the first coach that's fired? He's a one to two odds. That's below even money to be the first coach that fired. It, like, you got to be kidding me, right? You got to be kidding me. I don't know that it's his. I don't know that he's any more than maybe a little above average coach, but it's not his fault. But the first coach, according to one sports book, the first coach in the odds of 1 to 2, that's less than an even money favorite to be the first coach that is fired. That's my Sixers note. All right. I appreciate everybody that joined the show. Love Larry Bowa. Love him. Love him. He's so smart when it comes to the game of baseball. He really is. And he's a great guest whenever I have him. So the next time we're on is Saturday. Mark Lawrence will join us on Saturday to take a look at the weekend football. And I thank you. I thank Larry Bowa. I thank Joe Gangemi, who's doing the technical stuff on the other side. Daryl Moron won't fire anyone. Well, he gets rid of a lot of people. This is a comment here. He gets rid of a lot of people in the organization just to save money, but you don't save money by firing a coach. But whatever. I'm just telling you what the odds are. And thank Tony Anastasia for doing all the great graphic stuff that she does for the show. Everybody, have a great night, a great day tomorrow. We will see you on Saturday. And thanks for joining the Howard Eskin Show.